Right, we're going to go into some exposés now. The Oracle Corporation is next in the firing line. Said to be an American multinational computer technology corporation headquartered in Austin, Texas, and before December 2020 in Redwood, California. They're moving out, like many others. Perhaps more should go. With 11 million migrants, you know what happens next. Oracle has always had significant connections to the national security industry, so you know who they're linked to with that. And the company sells database software and technology, cloud-engineered systems, and enterprise software products, particularly its own brands of database management systems. Now, in 2019, Oracle was the second largest software company by revenue and also market capitalization. Founded in May 1977. Guess who Oracle's first customer was? Yes, the CIA. Contracted to build a relational database. The firm's name came from a CIA project codenamed Oracle, which tells you right there and then that the Oracle is a CIA-based entity. The company co-founders Larry Ellison, Robert Miner and Ed Oates worked on Project Oracle at a consulting firm before striking out on their own, all while still being connected to the central hub, which is the Central Intelligence Agency, or perhaps Unintelligence Agency is a more apt term. Since then, Oracle has grown steadily, continuing to win contracts for other law enforcement and government agencies like the National Security Agency, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, and also the Department of Homeland Security. So the CIA runs those establishments as well. At the same time, it continued to buy up competitors. And Larry Ellison stated this: the Oracle database is used to keep track of basically everything. The information about your banks, your checking balance, your savings balance is stored in an Oracle database. Your airline reservation is stored in an Oracle database. You bought books from Amazon is stored in an Oracle database. Your profile on Yahoo is also stored in an Oracle database. Of course, this was stated in 2002. Yahoo were the big browser back then. And then he said this also in 2002. The single greatest step we Americans could take to make life tougher for terrorists would be to ensure that all the information in a myriad government databases was copied into a single comprehensive national security database. And creating such a database is technically simple. Simple in its execution or in their brain patterns. Because it's funny, they can create all that, yet the DMV and all other government-based entity groups cannot provide the public with the same simple database or have the same rules and regulations for each state. Funny that, isn't it? Because it's all about confusion and collecting more money off the people is why. It literally boggles the mind how your car has to be registered in every state that you stay in. Why isn't it in one database to cover the... Oh, sorry. I went a bit too far with common sense again. It's the same with the stupid pot rules. You can have 1 foot on one side of a border and 1 foot on the other. If you lean one way, you're okay to smoke. If you lean the other way, you're going to get arrested. It's mind-bogglingly stupid. And all departments are the same way. None of them have got a clue how to speak to each other or engage each other. And standardization is gone. Doesn't exist. But he said all we have to do is copy information from the hundreds of separate law enforcement databases into a single database. Please try and tell the DMV to do the same. A national security database could be built in a few months, 2002, with national security database combined with biometrics, as far back as 2002, thumbprints, handprints, iris scans, or whatever is best can be used to detect people with false identities. Wonder if they've used it in Congress. Perhaps not. David Carney was the leader of Oracle's Information Assurance Center, founded just 2 months after the September 11 attacks. Well, I never. And he was formerly the number 3 person at the CIA, where he worked for 32 years. Connecting the dots now. Another former CIA-involved person with this is Leon Panetta. Ellison, the lead person, is born in and born to. The second lead person is Safra Katz, born in Israel and to Jewish parents. Are we connecting more dots again now? And in December, the company moved its core pirate headquarters to Austin, Texas, and the corporation's former headquarters in Redwood, California. The distinctive Oracle Parkway buildings, nicknamed the Emerald City, served as film sets for the futuristic headquarters of the fictional company North Am Robotics in the Robin Williams film Bicentennial Man. And the campus also represented the headquarters of Cyberdyne Systems in the Terminator movie. Now, all that simple database technology, which was available in 2002, and yet the crime rates have gone up, and the crime solving rates have gone down. Either it doesn't work properly, and if that's the case, the CIA should be held accountable, or it was not designed for the purpose to begin with. This was a piece by Anna von Reitz, and it has a lot of truth in it. If only she would not work for factions. But it's useful to some of the law people to understand. In my opinion, she is the best by far of knowledge of law and the history. Fact 1. The municipal government is trying to parasitize the territorial citizenry, and the territorial government is fighting back. We Americans are third parties, as we are not US citizens. But their plan is obviously to pretend that we are, and to draw us into the middle of their dogfight. And then she said this: did you know that Nancy Pelosi, acting as a single plaintiff, has named all citizens of the United States of America as defendants in a court suit seeking to steal all but $1,000 of your checking and savings accounts and to latch onto your 401ks. Perhaps I'll read that again. Pelosi, acting as a plaintiff, has named all citizens of the United States of America as defendants in a court suit seeking to steal all but $1,000 of your checking and savings accounts and then to latch onto your 401ks. They don't call her Nasty Nancy for nothing, she said. We should all hate her guts, and I trust that having read the foregoing, you will now have a better appreciation for why. Fact 2. Bill Gates and cronies in Britain and within the Holy Roman Empire have hatched a new, unlawful conversion scheme. The vaccination they are pushing is not a vaccination. It's an implant procedure to insert a piece of their own patented mRNA into the natural genome of an individual living people. This procedure will unlawfully but legally convert the victims into genetically modified organisms, GMOs, that can be claimed as property assets and owned as slaves and debtors. It's a process of branding people like cattle and claiming them on what these idiots think as open range because they missed the fact that our government never went away and didn't cease to exist and is now in session. So in fact, all those cows or cattle are already wearing the American brand, and they, the perpetrators of this scheme, are rustlers facing the death penalty. If only they were. Fact 3. Just as I told you all, she said, the Holy Roman Empire and their pals in Britain operating the government of Westminster are parasites that have caused 95% of all misery and warfare in the world for the past 400 years. And just as I told you, she said, these parasites decided to move to a new host, China. They've been doing everything they could to sell out America and leave nothing but their garbage behind. Now, from the standpoint of all the rest of us, it's high time to recognise the source of all these problems and put an end to them. If the Catholics and the Brits won't do their own clean-up, it will be left to a consortium of other nations to do the job for them. But at least we can be assured that the job of mopping up the Roman Empire is finally complete, and we are all agreed that slavery is outlawed in every jurisdiction and under every form of law. After 3,000 years of disagreement on this point, it's time to settle it. Fact 4. The Americans are not the US in any form and never were. Both the municipal United States and the territorial United States are nothing but foreign, privately owned corporations in the business of providing governmental services. The details of their service contracts are published as the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the United States of America. And both these foreign federal subcontractors are ultimately owned and operated by the Pope. It's the Constitution for, not of. It follows that any arguments among his airy-fairy corporations are to be settled promptly by him with no further acrimony or inconvenience or endangerment offered against their innocent erstwhile employers, the American states and people. And if that is not the immediate result, it's Pope Francis's fault, she said. There is nobody else to blame unless he cares to blame the Queen and the Lord Mayor of the UK for their despicable parts in all of this. There is a silver lining, she said. We all now know, or have cause to know, who the real perpetrators are, and it's not the Americans. It's not even the Chinese. Fact 5. The actual American government has stirred its stumps, and there is no longer any reason for anyone to surmise, claim, or presume that the municipal United States and its board of directors is representing us, or that the territorial government, as the Pledge of Allegiance says, is standing for us when our States of the Union are now in session. It's self-evident that you don't send a proxy to a meeting that you are attending yourself, and you don't need representation when you are present yourself. We are here, present and accounted for, provenance intact. And she said, so here's the third option that everyone is searching for so desperately. Deal with the actual American government of, for, and by the people of this country. The United States of America. That is a very good piece written. And whilst I don't agree with all points of it, particularly naming only 2 issues, Rome and Britain, and not because I came from there, but blaming countries for the ills is grossly overlooking of the real problem. Grossly overlooking. And Anna keeps mentioning the old labels, yet never addresses the factions. And that is curious, is it not? No mention of the Rothschilds, which in part her family, the Habsburgs, created, or the Black Sun elements. And never does she mention the Hebrew Anunnaki group either, better known as the Jewish. I wonder why. And I wish she would get off her high horse and stop working for the factions and the bloodline elites. They were the problem all along, Anna. They and you, who represent them as a fiduciary, are stalling the process of healing and the recovery of the people and this planet. And I'm asking her to take a leap of faith and walk away from the factions and come and really support we the people. I'm available should you really wish to come and support the people. And let's make history together, shall we? Some word meanings. The term AD, as in date, came out in the 1570s, which is an abbreviation of the Latin Anno Domini, which means the year of the Lord. You all know who the Lord really is. And this system of counting years was put forth by Dionysius Exiguus in 527 or 533 CE, but used at first only for church business, and was introduced in Italy in the 7th century and France partially in the 8th century. Now in England, first found in a charter of 680 CE, ordained for all ecclesiastical documents in England by the Council of Chelsea on July the 27th, 816. Now the resistance to it might have come in part because Dionysius chose 754 AUC as the birth of Jesus, while many early Christians would have it or thought of it as 750 AUC. They clearly just don't know, do they? There's also a use of simple for a Anno Domini in an English document which came from the 14th century AC for Anno Christi, which was also common in the 1700s. Then we have the term BC, abbreviation which is said to be before Christ, or Caesar. In chronology attested in 1823, the phrase itself before Christ in Dayton with exact years is in use by the 1660s. That's the key. So BC only came into existence after the King James Bible was written. Oops. BCE, initialism, an acronym for Before Common Era, or Before Christian Era. That didn't come in till 1881, and it said CCE, a secular alternative to BC, and all these stated to be biblical related terms. And what we're finding out is all of them are more modern day terms, and all of them were created after the King James Bible. Last one. B'nai B'rith. A Jewish fraternal organization founded in New York City in 1843. Hebrew literally means sons of the covenant, from Bene, B-E-N-E, construct state of Banim, plural of Ben, son plus Brith, covenant. Yet again, born in and born to again. And I probably, like many others, thought that that was an Israel-based group. Well, now you know differently.